Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate a full stack web project that I did on accommodation. It has search, add, delete, update functions. This is the table dynamically rendered from the SQL database. And if you search for something, we will have a search results. This is a list. And if we click on more, we will see all the 13 entries, properties that is here. And if we can change it, for example, then we save it, that is update. You can see that is what we have done. And we can also delete it, okay? Then there's the image. If you click, there's a second model that is displayed. You can also add room. This add button shares with the more button the same model, but here it is cleared, so you can put information here. Let's say we just add anything and we have to give the required information. The show image button and delete button are not there because they're not relevant. You will see this is there. Okay, how to make it? This is a dynamic web project with the backend, DAO, resource, JDBC, and RoomDao.java. And then web app, we have the basically JS. Now, let's see what I have been using in the front end. In the front end, the first thing is Bootstrap CSS, and then my own CSS. Because I add a button that is not easily available in Bootstrap, I have to add my own style, and then jQuery, and then Bootstrap JS, and my own JS. In the index, the first part is the search form. The important thing is to all the buttons. One is search, another one is addRoom. This controls whether the model is shown or not. This model is coded here. Because in the table I just give very key information like random distance, but here I have all the 13 attributes. The first one is all of them are inputs, allow the user to update information. The first one is roomId. Just for my coding, it is hidden because it's auto incremented. It doesn't make sense to the user. And for each of the input element, I have ID because I need to set and get the value. At the end, I have the button. One is image button. This controls whether the second model, room image model, is shown or not. And save button, delete button, they will be bound to events. In let's see this model. It is coded here, and I just give it the image ID because I'm going to give the src source to the image, and then the image will be shown. In this HTML, I also have this table. I just give the head, and the body will be dynamically populated. So let's come back to main.js. When the document is ready, first find all. That is populating the table. This is the get request, which returns to a list. Now for each object in the list, I have dynamically built the DOM node, which is the content of each column that we have seen here. And I also add a more button. Now this is extremely crucial because this is customizing the data attribute. So I will store the room ID here, so next time I just retrieve the value of this data attribute, I will be able to get the room ID without initiating another Ajax request. This also controls whether room details model is shown. So we have seen the two buttons, add room and more button, they both can control whether this model is shown or not. So in this way, I populated the data. This is the first step, find all. Second step is to click on the more button. This is how I got the ID, right? Because this ID is not easily or straightforward. So in this case, I used the data attribute. I got the ID, since I got the ID, I can get everything, because if you want to see the details of something, you have to find it first. Now, find by ID, this is another GET request, which returns one object. This object is stored in a global variable current room, which will be useful, we will see. And since we found this object, we're going to render more. For render more, this is the all the elements, input elements exist in the model. So for each input element, we set the value. The value comes from the properties of the objects that return from the server. This ID must have existed, because otherwise the button is not there. So in this case, we just give the model information. Then next one, image, because in the model we have an image button. When this button is clicked, here is important thing, right? We don't need one more Ajax request. We just pass the image property of the project that we stored in the global variable, and we will get the resource and the image will be shown. I have struggled here because we have two models, they are blocked actually very easily. You just manually hide or show. Next, search. We need 4 arguments. So let's see, this function takes 4 arguments, and this is special because although it is a GET, you need to provide the query parameters in the JS object format, so that you'll get back to a response. If it is 0, no, and then otherwise it is a list, and then you will render the table just like we did before. This is search. And next one is if you add room. If you add room, first you should have a clear model so that the user can put information. Actually, this is a tricky thing. Trick. You just pass an empty object and the model will be, all the data will be cleared. And then if you save the button, that is very complicated because you have to check whether the room ID is empty. Because when you are adding an entry, you are not allowed to set the ID. ID is auto-incremented. So the ID does not exist means you are add room. Otherwise, you are updating room. Let's see add room. In add room, this is a post method. So you need to give data. The data must be in JSON format. So how to give the data? Of course, from user's input. User's input value is set to the key of the JSON object. So in this case, we have created an object in JSON format. It is sent to the server, and the server comes back with response. The response includes an entity which is an object. This exists because of the RoomDao. So for each object, we will be able to get the ID that is allocated by the server. And then we can, because we have all the information, now we can find all. So this is add room. And update room is similar. You also use from the user's input, transfer user's input to JSON format and send it to server. Server come back with the object, and then we can find all. The last function is delete. In the delete function, this is a delete method, and I also want the model to be cleared, so I just pass an argument which is pass an object which is empty, and then find all. So that is all. Thank you.